Hey guys, happy Sunday and all that. Welcome to my new home, third place here in the States I'm living at. Been here since mid April, so it's a new place and I'm having fun. And I'm sitting on a yoga ball, so if it's gonna be a bouncy one, you know why. Speaking of this home and what we're gonna be talking about, this is actually a home owned by a couple, and they have three other guests, call it tenants, whatever. So I'm renting a room here, and that was something that was, is that going to be uncomfortable? Do I going to feel relaxed and all that? But as I've now lived here for a week, I just feel this is so right. Getting to know new people, different cultures, and just it's like a weird family, often having dinner together and all that. But the reason that led me to this point, sitting here talking about connecting with strangers, is actually that the wife of the man owning the house, she actually told me that, yeah, you're actually a really good conversationalist. Like she praised me for being good at talking to, and it struck me kind of that since I got here, I've gotten to know so many people like on a deep level, and it has led me to a lot of you know situations where people have trusted me with a lot of responsibilities and all that. And I have a lot of social anxiety usually afterwards, but when I'm talking to people in that moment, it's usually a really good, nice experience. And so I thought I should share some tips today, actually three tips, but it's not only from coming from me, it's coming from the book Supercommunicators by Charles Duhigg. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but it's actually a super good book that kind of explains a lot of why I have a good fun time. What do you say? Why I can connect with people in a good way and really enjoy doing so. It's not like it's a strategic thing to accomplish things. It's just a natural curiosity within me that leads me to this ability to create these relationships, and I really love it. It's one of the best things with having moved here, to be able to connect with new people, and that in itself creates a lot of new adventurous situations, because being in a new country, and I'm on a big adventure, and if I'm in an apartment living on my own like I did in Stockholm, that's not going to happen. That in itself is a whole different topic, and something I've thought a lot about, how to design your life to put yourself in these situations. Either way, let's get into Charles Duhigg's three tips for how to better, more easily connect with people. And starting off with, we're gonna go past all that, like how to approach and the small talk and all that. This is more like the three golden nuggets in how to have a good conversation once you have established what do you say, the base for, okay, we're having a conversation, sitting at a dinner next to someone or whatever. And one of these things is ask not what but why. Like, okay, so you're talking about where you went to school, and instead of asking that, where did you went to school, or at least make it lead to how did you feel about studying that topic, or why did you go about choosing that field. It's it Because that in itself makes you not ask a fact-based question, but it lets you into their world and how what values are important to them. For me, I went to a technical engineering school because as a kid I always was fixing stuff, taking things apart, doing mechanics on car and motorcycles, and it's if you start pulling that thread, you get into a much deeper realm on who I am and what I stand for and all that. And it's just it's so important. It's not important. It's so effective. It's actually, it's more than that. It's so fun when you have this deep curiosity within, like I have now, when I get to meet all these new people, and I talk, and I get to ask these why questions. Like there's another kid here in this building, and he's very shy, and I met him for the first time yesterday when I came home, and they had dinner, and I started like asking more, why are you here, and he opened up in a way. The wife of the woman owning the house, she later told me, yeah, it was nice to see him open up like that, because he really didn't used to do that. So again, just asking these why questions leads you into a place where it's just interesting and fun. And that also leads us on to the next tip, which oh, I'm stumbling. I need to think. Yeah, we have the ask deep questions, and then we have how to respond to that. Okay, so they say something that tells them about who they are, what they believe in, and you can answer in a way that shares a bit what you are about. If they told you a story about something that happened to their parents or whatever, you can create that bond by sharing, being vulnerable, daring to go first. If they just started, and you could meet them in this on the same level, and start sharing some of your stories, and not for the purpose of getting the spotlight back to you. It's more about building a trust bridge where they share some, you share some. It's a forth and back kind of game, almost game, but it's you're building something. You're building a relationship here, and that only happens if you trust each other, and trust only comes if you give and take and take and give. So sharing stories from your personal life, like yesterday when I talked to this kid that is very shy, I started up with sharing a bit why I moved here, and then I led us into the conversation and started out with laying the foundation for what the answer could be for him to give me, because I kind of gave him an example. And it's not a strict framework. You have to do it a lot, and you start to realize what works and what doesn't work. And of course, it has so many other factors. You have to take in their body language, and you start to pick up on small little details. But the main thing is that if you just follow these things, then the other kind of will fall into places. This is like the 80-20 rule, where this is the 20% that gives 80% of the result. So these two things, the I can't pronounce the word, where you share some and you give some, that is something I'm using a lot for years. But also the ask deep questions, those two are very well paired, and something you could think of as a tool to really use to get to know these people. Because even further up, first of all, the curiosity comes. You need to have that genuine curiosity. You have to, you don't have to do anything. But for me, it comes naturally, because I really want to get to know these people, because it's just so interesting. It's like reading a book, and especially when you're in a different country like this. I want to take in different cultural experience, and different viewpoints on how you look at life. In Sweden, people look at most things in a particular way, and then you come here. Now I'm in North Carolina, in the South, and people really have a different viewpoint. So things like when I'm in Sweden, talking about Donald Trump there is like, oh, that can't happen. When you're here, that's like 50% of the state in North Carolina are voting for Donald Trump, and that's the basis. It's so more yeah, it's just interesting to get into that context, because then things you thought was weird over here get normalized here. So it's just having these conversations about all different kinds of topics. It's so good for your ability to broaden your perspective on the world and everything and how it works. Because the worst thing you can do is to be close-minded and just think that what you was taught by your parents is the one and only thing to do, thing how to do life, but it's not. And again, that's my perspective and how I look at it, and I just feel that it broadens my way of life in so many ways. I'm not gonna let you hang for too long. It's gonna be a short one, but the last one, the tip number 3 from Supercommunicators by Charles Duhigg is loop for understanding. And this isn't something that I've been using a lot, but since I've been reading this book this week, it's something for next week I will have a deliberate focus on in trying to implement, because I love, you know, for people with social anxiety or having social lacking social skills, let's call it that. For me, I mean, I've taught myself to, I've developed these skills, but when you don't have it, it's easy to be clouded by anxiety and not being relaxed enough to have good conversations. So I've always found that reading books like this, there's tons of other books, and just kind of focus on one tool at a time, it actually distracts you a bit from the anxiety of talking to people, because then you can focus on, okay, now I'm going to focus on the eye contact, or the why thing, at trying to find why questions that actually work well, because only asking why questions, that's not going to work either. So of course you have to implement and play with these things to find that balance where it's the sweet spot. And so when you're when you have a deliberate focus to implement things, I have found that it takes some away from the anxiety of having those conversations, because now you have an aim, you have a goal, you kind of know where you want to go. If you're just going into conversations not knowing anything and just being overwhelmed of that, with anxiety, it probably is not going to go well. So I found having strategies like this, it's a super good thing. Looping for understanding. So what is that? Well, that's that's reaffirming that what you've been told is correctly, what do you say, that you've taken it in the right way. So you say you asked a why question, and someone opened up, and you then say that back in a way, you paraphrase. Okay, okay, so you're feeling this way because of this and this, is that correct? And try to verify that you summarized that this was correct. This step may seem a bit over too much, but getting that confirmation is kind of a trust building thing, that they say yes to something you're asking. It's like salesmen trying to get a yes out of people when they're talking to, like trying to make a sale. Making people say yes in that conversation is a classic sales technique. But so looping for understanding, it shows that you really listen, it shows that you understand them, and it's kind of a trust builder. And it's something that they talk a lot about in the book, and it's not something I can personally sign off on, because I haven't been using this tool. Next week maybe I will, hopefully. And that's just, it is the third thing. I hear myself telling it like this, it may not seem that powerful, but in the book, which I really can recommend, they used it as an example for how two groups, it was a research where anti-gun group and a pro-gun group, they were put together, and they were trying to make them have meaningful conversation that would actually lead somewhere. And one of these techniques that they implemented on the group trying to make this happen was this uh, loop for understanding, and turned out it really worked well. I'm I'm not selling this too good. I can hear it. It's just it sounds really good in the book. I think it's a good thing. I will try it myself and I will get back to you and see how it's been working for me. If not, it's another tool to practice in you know, just getting out there, talking to people, talking to strangers, talking to people you know. Again, having different techniques and tools to practice with makes it easier. So if not another tool, try it. Don't try it, but go out there and talk to people. That's the main thing. The main thing I want to why I choose to have this topic this week, because in the end, you know, conversations, connections, people, that's really what make up so much of our life. And looking back at all my great moments, when usually I've been lagging, I've been missing out a bit on this, not missing out. I haven't implemented, I haven't used, I haven't done this habit as much as I used to, but I used to always write down 5 top things at the end of the day. Like I did that systematically for years. And 4 out of 5 times, it always were those conversations with people, small, random conversations at job, at my work, that just that was something happened there, it was a special one. Or talking to a stranger in the store, or whatever. But it's like this morning I went out exploring the neighborhood, and I came in, and the guy owning the house and his girlfriend was sitting there in the kitchen, and I just come in, and they invite me to have some of their lunch, and we just sit there and we talk about a lot of different things. And it was just like it feels like I'm part of a family here, and it was a really really nice moment. And if I had been living alone in an apartment, which which would have been a much more easier way to go about living here in the States, I wouldn't have had that memory and that moment. But I know that coming back to designing your life in a way that you actually go out and have these kinds of conversations. I know that if I rent a room in a house where there's people, I'm gonna be put in a situation. The system, the environment I design for me will make me have a lot of these moments, conversations. And it's the same with trying to be on a diet and lose weight. If you design your home so that you don't have any things you shouldn't eat, if it's not there, it's hard to make it happen. On the I mean it's an example on the counterpart, where you design your life so you have people around you, then will have a lot of conversations. So that was just kind of a bonus tip, I guess, in how to have more conversations. uh, so that was the 3 tips from the book Supercommunicators by Charles Duhigg. The link is down there to Goodreads. It's not an affiliate link where you could buy the book. It's just a people reviewing books, and as you can see, it got 4.1 out of 5 stars, and it's a really good one. I haven't been reading so many books lately, but I do audiobooks, and when I started listening to this book this week, it was like, oh man, this is what I love. Yeah, I'd say that's about it. If I'm sweaty and a bit all over the place today, it's because it's about 9,500 Fahrenheit here. That'll be around 35 Celsius, and I've been out cleaning my car all day. Yeah, I bought a car it was called the dog car, and the back seat were only for the dogs for years. It was filthy. I love cleaning things up though. That's why I'm super sweaty, a bit crazy, a bit me. But I showed up because I told myself I was going to do that, and I didn't last week because that was in the middle of the move, and well, I bailed on myself, and that made me feel like shit. I have said I'm going to show up, so I'm here to show up, and hopefully we're going to focus more on this social connection part again coming weeks. I'm not sure on the future of all this, but I'm talking to a Russian girl right now, and kind of came into the meaning of things and what drives us. And I've been for the longest time saying that, yeah, my motto in life is to make people smile. Ever since I did those smile videos back in 2018, 19 maybe, where I went out to the city with my camera and I asked 100 strangers if they wanted to smile with me on the camera. Just smile with me. And it was such a great experience. It was like a Christmas calendar, so I did it for every day. For I didn't ask 100 people, but from 1st of December to the 21st of December, I accumulated over 100 conversations, moments with strangers where I could smile with them. And it was just amazing how quickly I could connect with people, smile with them, and have a an amazing moment. I can probably remember every each of those moments. If you want to watch that, the video playlist is somewhere in my YouTube folder. But my point was, I don't remember my point. Where was I going with this? My point was, I totally lost it. What was I going to say? Yeah, I can remember. Good moments. Yeah, talking about connecting with people, and so, yeah, the Russian girl I'm talking to, and since I did that series, I've been saying my kind of life purpose is to bring more smiles to the world. And when I told her that this week, we were just texting, I also contemplated a little bit about what I really meant with that. And it's like, okay, making people smile, what does that mean? It could be like being a stand-up comedy guy, and make them laugh. It's very wide, but coming to really like hone in on that, I think it's important to kind of have a star in your life, something that makes life feel meaningful. And when I thought a little bit about it, what I truly mean with bringing more smiles to the world is like, I myself have had a lot of social anxiety and all that, but I've found ways through reading and exploring and personal development and all to cope with that, and to have great days every day, and just life, fucking love it. And I hate when I see people. I hate, it's like it hurts within when people that have the possibility to have such a great amazing life that everybody can have, and but they can't have it because they don't know how to, or they're just miserable. And I just feel that I want to add to that, to bringing them up to a level where they can enjoy life. And since connection and having these moments is kind of what I'm really good at, that's something I can share, and that's why I choose to share this with you this week. Yeah, that will be the closing call, yeah, that's what's going to punctuate this little stream. Hope you enjoyed it. And I don't know how the audio was, because I don't want to talk too loud when I have other people around me, which also kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable, which may be why I'm not as relaxed as I'm usually is when I do this. uh, I put the mic on a higher setting, so if it was all shit, please let me know, and I'll find a way around it for next time. That being said, hope you show up for next week, and go out there and have some deep conversations and tell me how it went. See you in the next one. Bye, guys. I need to find the end button. Where am I streaming?